Hello and welcome to the Terms and Conditions panel with Edinburgh TV Festival, the story of drill and urban music on YouTube. I'm Tiffany Calver, your host, DJ and radio broadcaster on BBC Radio 1 and 1Extra for the Rap Show. Joining me on the panel today are Brian Hill, director and MD at Century Films, Luke Hyams, head of originals at YouTube, Lavida Loca, who is an incredible UK rapper who's also featured in the documentary. Before we get into it, I thought I would read the blurb underneath the video. Violent, visceral, anarchic. Some call it music, others call it a problem. One film asked the big question surrounding the controversial drill music scene. Does life imitate art? Or does art imitate life? Go beyond the headlines to unearth the roots and the impact of a divisive form of self-expression. From musicians and gang members to victims of violence and industry professionals, discover a new human narrative on a disaffected generation and understand the origins of the most talked about cultural phenomenon for decades. Luke, how did Terms and Conditions even come to life?
When I joined YouTube, everywhere I turned, whether it was talking to young people who were excited to learn how to join YouTube or talking to the music team about the amazing amount of views this music was getting, or if it was, talking to the policy team within YouTube around some of the concerns around the lyrics and the press that was being generated, everybody was constantly talking about drill music as a phenomena. And, I really felt like that there was a chance to really go beyond the crazy headlines and some of the nihilistic lyrics to understand who were the young people that had chosen this type of music as their form of expression and in many cases a way out. And I just felt like, YouTube is a perfect place to do this because this was undoubtedly the home where people, for better or for worse, went to consume drill music. So that was a kind of intention. And thinking about who to collaborate with, I had always been a humongous fan of a film called Feltham Sings, which was on Channel 4 in 2002. It was an opportunity it was like a first musical documentary, complete trailblazing film that gave the young inmates the opportunity to tell their stories through music. And I just thought that there was a correlation between that and what we could potentially do around the drill music scene to make it a bit more ambitious and more creative. And that was when I first got introduced to Brian Hill, who's here with us today also on the panel.
Brian, what engaged you initially to get involved with this documentary?
Well, I think when Luke contacted me and talked to me about it, first of all, and he said, we had talked originally about doing a kind of remake, not a remake, but an update of Feltham Sings. And then Luke said, well, actually, I'd be more interested in doing something about drill music. And I kind of nodded my head and pretended I knew what drill music was. And then I did a bit of research and found out. And I just thought, in many ways, like Luke, I just thought this is a huge phenomenon amongst young people. This is a exciting kind of musical movement, and it's coming from all sorts of places. And it should be explored, and we should find, and also because it had this kind of terrible reputation that it causes violence and that it has nothing positive to say about anything. So I thought, well, this is a fantastic opportunity on my doorstep, I live in London, to try and understand this huge phenomenon. So, we talked about it a bit more and off we went.
And I guess just like any huge phenomenon, there is always a little bit of a backlash or a conversation that happens. I know that YouTube actually had a little bit of criticism. Let's cut to a clip of that.
They knew what they were doing that night. They actually obviously discussed it. To go out and want to do that and hurt someone, I can't get my head around it, and I can't understand why you would want to do that.
Dip first on talk, on flight mode when we walk. Get the drop, then he's caught. Ski out when he falls.
The boy that killed Jason, he's in numerous YouTube videos, and all they speak about is stabbing people in the back, putting their phones on flight mode.
Dip first on talk, on flight mode when we walk. Get the drop, then he's caught.
It's a massive thing, this drill music. I don't think it's the only cause, but it's one of the causes.
Came up selling jewels. I'm serving cats from a pool. Cut the green like a lawn. Shiny piece when I walk.
In court, they actually played his YouTube video in court, so he's made a few music videos, and they get so many views, which is shocking, but...
So, Luke, this is very critical of YouTube, don't you think?
I think that for us to to go into a subject where we're so much a part of the story and not be honest about our role in it would be completely disingenuous and would, go against what we were trying to do with this film. Yes, YouTube has been under a huge amount of criticism for hosting a lot of these drill music with lyrics that some people feel either recount or incite violence. And, we just felt this was a really key part of the story, and for me, there was a day where we went to work where mothers of young people who had lost their sons to street violence were stood outside the building protesting. And this was just something that, you can't really ignore that. And we felt that, it was worth us exploring that within the film. So yeah, it includes it. It is critical. That might not be what you'd expect, but, at the end of the day, we really wanted to get the message of the film across, which was, who are these young people? What are their lives? And also to try and also just sort of feed that into a kind of really positive anti-violence message, which I think, is hopefully the main thing people take away when they see the film.
In the documentary, Drill Minster says, drill doesn't cause violence. Drill is a reflection of violence. Lavida Loca, I'm going to ask you, do you agree with this?
Yeah, I do completely, because from my own life experiences, the gang culture, gun crime, knife crime has been a problem from where I've grown up. I would not put that down to drill music. We've come out of that place, and now we've got the opportunity to speak on our lives, which is what music is expressing you, yourself, your life, your feelings, and that's where we've come from, that's what we're expressing. But it doesn't mean that that is happening because we're making that music. We can make that music because that has happened. So I think people miss that point.
Yeah, you play a massive part in this documentary, so I think we should cut to a clip of you in action.
Because I'm really in the field, everything I'm spitting in the song, ask about, man, it's real.
I've always liked music. I've just always written music as well. And then during my time in jail, I used to just do that behind myself, just write, rap, just something to do. And then getting out, I was just making little rap freestyles and putting them on my social media, and that blew up very quickly. And then, yeah, I got my foot in the door.
Steam cocked and said, then I pebbled it down. Had me flying at the city, set up shop in the town. He's calling for the blanco, I be loving the brown. I told them have the money right, not even short on the pound.
The content you'll hear out there would be based on selling drugs, violence. And you know what? Them songs about violence and drugs caught everybody's attention. And isn't that the crazy thing?
So in this clip, you mentioned selling drugs and violence catches everyone's attention. These were the songs that were starting to catch people's attention from you. Why do you think that is?
It's because not everybody does live that reality. So as much as they say that drill music is causing this and that, it is still interesting for people because people don't live that reality. People are not part of that world. Especially because I'm a female as well. I feel like a lot of people were just shocked to hear kind of like how my life, going to prison, etc., and also how I look as well. People also, I think, took me at face value, but not really getting to know me. They just sort of looked at this little small girl. She can't be really on that. But yeah, no, it definitely did catch a lot of people's attention. I feel like people are still intrigued by it because it's not normal. The road life is not normal. It's a small world. It's literally.
It's a small world, but for the majority, I would say, of poor areas in London, it is reality. And that's something that gets touched on a lot in the documentary, that drill is young disadvantaged people talking about their lives. There's a scene in the documentary that literally, conveys your typical block, people on drugs on the street, off licenses, selling alcohol 24 hours a day, and chicken shops, naturally. Being someone who did grow up in South London, in the hood, how true is that statement?
I think that's true, yeah. That's an accurate reflection, I think, of South London. But South London is not all bad either. So as much as that is an accurate reflection, there's also, not everybody's a gang member being brought up in South London. People still go to college, go to uni. Not everybody is forced to go into that world. That's why it definitely is kind of like a case-by-case basis. Individually, people have a reason, mainly poverty or their own background, family life, whatever, as to why they have gone into gang culture. It's not just South London and everybody then grows up and is in a gang. Like, but again, I also feel like that is also missed. There is reasons why, like, this lifestyle or that lifestyle, there's still young boys and young girls getting into it today, and that comes, it's so much more than just wanting to be a gang member. It comes from so much more than that. There's a lot that needs to be fixed in terms of community, but that's what we're trying to do with drill, trying to make the money from our music to explain our backgrounds and put that money back into where we've come from, the hood, that people around us. And people who are quick to criticize drill are not seeing a bigger picture of what the music has actually been able to do for us and our communities.
100%. You speak on the fact that you came out of jail where you were writing these songs and you've managed to completely change your life. There's a quote from Mr. Montgomery, who's very present in this documentary, where he says, when you're just in the hood, the only thing you see is the block. You don't see past it. You don't see past the tall buildings. You get caged in like a mouse in a maze. The only way to get out of the maze is if you run through or use your strategy. Most cases, people don't have strategy and they get stuck in the maze. For me, one of the most incredible things to see is the opportunities for yourself and for others that the rise of drill music and UK rap in general has given to young people like yourself, who do make it out of that maze. Not only does it create musicians, it's managers, A&Rs, music directors, producers, radio broadcasters. They say in the documentary, people with limited companies that pay taxes. And it creates black entrepreneurs like Posty, who can't join us today, but obviously is the founder of GRM Daily, where this documentary sits on YouTube. And
Tiffany, he does have a good reason, though. Don't make it seem like he's just watching TV. No. Come on.
He's doing something very, very important, which we will get into now. Actually, Luke, I wanted to ask you, why was GRM Daily the right place for this film, in your opinion?
Well, I think that, GRM have built an incredible platform that really allows young people to have a really unfiltered experience of great British urban rap, grime and drill. And we felt like they definitely had the audience there, and we thought that it would be a really good experiment in the evolution of GRM to see what it would be like to launch a feature film on that channel. And, we have had some really terrific results in terms of the amount of watch time that people watch. When you think about the majority of people on GRM really just watch 3.5 minutes. It's an average, a music video per video. To have people watch an entire, 75-minute feature film has been a real big achievement. And so to answer your question properly, I think the real reason why we wanted to put it on GRM is because that's where the audience is. And we felt like, that would be the best place to reach who we wanted to talk to with the anti-violence message.
Do you see the importance that places like YouTube hold within, I guess, the rap community, and especially the UK rap community, where you have, as a platform, given these young entrepreneurs like Posty and other platforms similar, the opportunity to pretty much grow and build an entire scene?
I think it's a great thing. I think it's a continuation of what used to happen with the pirate radio stations and with the DVD culture of Lord of the Decks and Mics and Risky Roads and everything. I think the natural evolution of that has been GRM, SBTV link up. And I think that, it's just a great example of when you have people that are really passionate about something, in this example, a type of music, YouTube is a great place to be able to reach them with a kind of a version of that passion point that really connects with them in an incredibly unfiltered way. So yeah, I really love what's happened with those music platforms, and I'm sure they're just going to continue to grow and grow and grow. And
obviously, despite some of the criticism that you have faced with this documentary, are you going to be releasing more documentaries from this world in the future?
Oh, absolutely. Like, I think that what's really important for us at YouTube Originals here in the UK and in the EMEA region is that we're reflective of what's going on in culture and around us and for young people. So I feel like, yeah, absolutely. Like, when there's an opportunity for us to partner with a channel or partner with a great team of producers like Brian and the gang at Century to do something that feels like it is tapping into something that is celebrated by a big audience on YouTube and giving it some sort of next level creative helping to enhance its creative ambition, that's 100% what we want to do. And I think that's the right role for YouTube Originals to play within the ecosystem of YouTube.
Shall we take a look at a clip from something that you've been working very hard on?
Oh, that would be great.
Okay, let's cut into it.
GRM is like that trampoline. If you get on it, you jump higher.
I didn't actually think I'd ever see it happening like this.
It was us, man. It was a proper us moment.
This is sick. There's all these like white kids from Middle England that like want to hear us.
The whole of Middle England, bro, in their Wellington boots, rich parents.
It's sick to see how some stuff like that starts from like an innocent passion and now it's turned to that. We needed it.
These two guys just had a camera and they was going everywhere.
I'd be editing it.
Posty just kind of came out of nowhere, created a platform and then ran with it.
Everyone was just calling till everyone stopped calling.
Yeah, that looks Defiant Ones move out of the way. Do you know what I mean? That looks crazy. A very impressive looking series on GRM Daily. Luke, tell us a little bit more about this series and what we can expect.
So building on the success of Terms and Conditions and the audience that we were able to reach with that film and the positive engagements, we saw the opportunity to tell the most kind of brilliant story of Black entrepreneurial excellence of our time. The story of the GRM Daily platform that sees a young guy named Posty and his friend Pierre go from just having a real passion for this music and building, like the definitive platform for it, the most popular platform for it in the UK through YouTube. And through their story, we get to cover everything from, over 4 episodes from the last kind of 20 years from, Artful Dodger, So Solid Crew, all the way up to everything that's happening with H and D Block Europe and with all of the ups and downs along the way. So it's this core story of this entrepreneur, it's more like it's something that is like not just a piece. If you don't like this music, you could still love this series because it really is a window into this business and into how these guys manage to sort of, pull it out of the flames several different times. It's really quite an engrossing story, and it has an incredible cast from Stormzy, Ashley Walters, Kano, Skepta, all your mates are in it, Tiffany. It's really, really exciting, and it's a bit of a balance from Terms and Conditions. Terms and Conditions is very, very serious, and it's a very serious subject. And this is something that's a bit more aspirational in that any one of us could start a YouTube channel and build a mega empire like Posty has done. And we hope to inspire more people to do that with this series.
When it comes to commissioning documentaries on YouTube, I know we've spoken about Terms and Conditions, we've spoken about the GRM series, but when you are commissioning documentaries for YouTube, what is it that you are looking for?
Doing stuff that has some sort of relationship to YouTube is incredibly important for us. Stuff that just feels like a TV show or the documentary just plonked randomly on YouTube. Kind of learned the error of my ways about that. And I feel like it just has to have YouTube in its DNA, whether it's, how it's going to be distributed on what YouTube channel, whether it's a YouTube creator or a celebrity who's really lent in, or an artist who wants to go to the next level with a creative project that we can empower them to do. That's the type of things we're looking for. So it's great for people to come to us with talent. Examples like, I shouldn't talk about it, but there's one creator who wants to go to space. So, that's something that they couldn't do on their own, but we can partner with them to to make that happen. So, you know, docs is really the priority for us. Good unscripted content, for lack of a better word, and, you know, stuff with, you know, people with great big personalities who have a new chapter of their story that they can share with us, or want to kind of open up a new part of their personality to the camera. And things as well, like with the terms and conditions and the GRM series, which is called Together We Rise, by the way, to have stuff that, like, you know, looks at a scene that people are passionate about on YouTube in a fresh way, or kind of consolidates a movement on YouTube in one piece of film. That's something we're interested in as well.
Taking it back in closing, just to talk quickly about terms and conditions, I wanted to ask you all to just answer this one question. So I'll start with you, Luke. When people watch terms and conditions, what is the one thing you want them to take away from it?
The most important thing that people should take away from it is just an understanding of the humanity behind some of the, you know, the drill scene and the situation that a lot of the young people are in that causes them to express themselves in some ways that we would find kind of shocking and negative even. You know, that's one of the things, you know, who are these people like Lavida and the other people in the film, like, you know, to really get to know them. If you do by watching the film, that's a real big triumph for us. And really for young people, we just want, you know, there are a lot of stories that really show the repercussions of violence, which I think is very, very important for us to be able to have something that puts across an anti-violence message. So I guess out of the two, that's, you know, those are the two most important things for us.
Brian, what about you? What do you want people to take away?
Well, I mean, I started this film trying to understand the link between, if there was one, between drill and violence. And then what we quickly realised and what we discovered through talking to lots of different people, there are lots of different voices in the film, from community workers to lawyers to mothers. What I'd like people to take from it is an understanding of what the real causes of violence are on the streets of London and other cities in the UK. And it is a difficult problem, but some of the causes are not difficult to understand. It's poverty, it's racism, it's lack of opportunity, it's being ignored, it's being denied access to certain things. And those are the real causes of what's happening in the streets. And it's not to do with drill music at all.
Something I'd love to ask you, especially kind of when we were talking a bit earlier, you know, you're in London, this is kind of on your doorstep, but it is new for you, this exploration of this world that you're now filming and making a documentary about. So what were some of the things that really, like, your eyes were open to when you were filming this documentary?
Well, I suppose I'm not, you know, you look at me and think he's not the natural choice to make a film about drill. Lavida certainly made that pretty clear to me.
Yeah, I saw that clip.
But actually, what I felt, it was just amazing. It's an amazing experience for me, and I was completely accepted and you know, had a great time doing it. But I think the thing that really surprised me the most was we went to film a couple of video shoots, and it was just that it was the incredible number of people who were there who didn't seem to have much of a role, but it's just people's mates, I suppose. And then it was the kind of inventive ways they found to make stuff without having the kind of budgets that that I would have if I was making, you know, a music video or something. It was the way that they just improvised and did things, and, you know, didn't always get permission, were just, you know, really creative about how they managed to do it. And that was a real eye opener. That was kind of guerrilla filmmaking.
It was really nice to see Lavida. It was nice to see you in the studio working on music. I think that was a great thing for people to see, just like what goes into making, especially these songs that are so popular now. And I do love the clip where you do say to Brian that he won't relate. You can just tell. I do love that clip. I'm sure you're friends and everything now, but I think that's, in a way, that's a true testament to how it must feel when you're making this music, which genuinely now is maybe one of the most popular genres for young people in the UK, which in my personal opinion, I think GRM Daily and places like this have played a massive part into. But these listeners from around the country and around the world, because let's be real, this has traveled to, you know, it's gone from Chicago to London, now to New York, to literally even Drake makes drill now. And, you know, a lot of these listeners can't really relate, but they still stream and they still support these artists like yourself and the subject matter that you are talking about. Is that a positive thing for you? Is that a good thing? Do you see, is that a good thing?
What I think is a good thing is the fact that people have never spoke about London and the road so much. I've never heard so much in the media about the streets. So the fact that people are now listening, and now people are having conversations of what is the issues, and is drill music causing violence? No, it's not. So it's forcing people to have to answer that question. If it's not drill, then what is it? And a lot of people have now opened their minds to the problems that are actually in our communities. It's like, say, what Brian just said. Brian wasn't aware there was poverty and racism until researching drill. So if drill is making people open their minds to research, what is our real life, street life? It's real. If that's what's making you dig a little bit deeper, then I'm not mad, because there is a lot of help that is needed. I feel
Lavida, Tiffany, can I just ask you one question? Like, just for the audience who maybe haven't heard much drill, like if there was one YouTube video they should go and look up to really get an understanding of the drill sound, like what would be the main places where they would start, do you think?
I mean, just literally go on Mixtape Madness, GRM Daily. Just go on any and just close your eyes and pick a video, because that's literally the sound right now, in my opinion. I don't know what I'd say. That's hard to like pinpoint one drill song to be like, this is where you start. I don't know what I'd say. Who would you pick for that?
I'd say 6-7.
Yeah, I think so.
I'd
say 6-7, because I feel like they were pretty much at the beginning of when that sound first came over from Chicago, and you know, the UK started to make it into its own, which again is touched on in this documentary. I'd say I'd agree, and of every 6-7 song bangs, to be honest. So I'm here for it. Something that you were just talking about, and how, you know, it's giving people an eye-opening view of what the roads and what everything's like in London. You've never heard so many people talking about this, but at the same time, what I was saying about, you know, going over to the States and all of these different artists now jumping on these beats and this rhythm that's kind of changing in the way the narrative of how people view drill also, which I think in a way is also very positive when drill music has had such a taboo and has, you know, has been I think history repeats itself though. Like, people have tried to censor an art form where people are just expressing themselves in storytelling, and this is the tale of hip hop, if I'm honest. If you go back to, you know, the rap censorship era of like the 90s, when even politicians, a bit like now, are talking about, you know, banning this music, and there's lawsuits shutting down like NWA concerts. It's very interesting.
Even as back as rock and roll, back in the 60s when that came out, people said that was causing violence and creating all these issues. It's going to evolve. We're just at the beginning of drill. It will evolve, and people will soon see that it's more than just a gang-related genre. It's not. It's music. But I hate that we're so discredited because people can't relate to what we're talking to.
I think it's interesting. It's interesting because in the beginning of hip hop, what's the main similarity between rap then and rap now? People are from low class neighborhoods. There's poverty. They're in the hood, and they're talking about their life, and they're speaking out against, you know, all of these things that are happening. What else are people supposed to speak about in a way?
I think it's worth pointing out as well, Tiffany, that one of the things we did in the film was we invited different artists to demonstrate that drill could be versatile, and they could talk about things other than what people normally think it's about violence and bling and glamour and drugs and all of that. So, you know, for example, Skengd and IM wrote a song about how they, as young black men, are perceived by people. And, you know, it's a really clever song that they wrote. It's really interesting. They each contributed bars to it, and then it was produced by Fraser T. Smith, and we get this great song which is about what it's like being a young black man on the streets of London and how you're seen by people, and particularly by the police. So And we did that with, 4 or 5 different artists and songs that they could show. Just, it's versatile. It can talk about anything.
Lavida, I never actually we got so stuck and lost in, well, maybe me, our conversation about the evolution of drill. I didn't get to ask you, with this documentary and people watch it, especially your story, that is a focal part of this film. What do you want viewers to take away from it?
As drill artists, the connotation that's attached to us is promoting violence, the word promoting. But I can guarantee you there is not a single drill rapper that we sit and write our music because we want to promote and incite violence. It's our lives, it's been our reality, it's been where we've come from. But that's just all it is. It's music, and that music is going to take us so places that we could never imagine that we would go, opportunities that I would have never imagined I would have ever had. And it's not just an opportunity for me, it's an opportunity that then affects positively about 20 other people around me, 30 other people around me, the kids on my block. Like, there's so many people that benefit and gain from my one opportunity as being a drill rapper. Do you get it? Like, it's so much deeper than that. So I wouldn't want people to sit there and assume that it's promoting violence. As you also realize, say like Heady One, he started off very, talking about the roads and whatever. As his lifestyle changes, his content changes, and that's when you start to realize, like, it's not just wanting to rap about violence. We don't know anything else. But when your life changes, your content changes, you have different things to speak about, and you also have now a platform and a foundation to put others on that would have never had opportunities to receive such. So yeah, I want people to definitely have a more open mind when it comes to drill music and what it does for us as drill artists and people around us in our community in general.
I think that's the perfect statement to end this panel on. Quick thank you to Edinburgh TV Festival and to YouTube for putting this together. Thank you to Brian Hill, Lavida Loca and Luke Hyams for joining me for this Terms and Conditions Apply, the story of drill and urban music on YouTube panel. Make sure you all go, if you haven't already, go and watch it and take away something like everything we have just spoken about. Yeah, cool.